All right, sixth grade. Lesson 1-8. Sometimes in math, when you're doing math, there is more than one operation in the problem that you're doing. And so, there are some rules that you have to follow when you're doing problems like that. The rules are called the order of operations. One of my favorite things in math. The order of operations. So first write down the steps, and then we're going to talk about them. The steps are to do all operations inside parentheses first. Do all operations inside parentheses first. Write that down. Lesson 1-8 notes. Do all operations inside parentheses first. Do all operations inside parentheses first. Copy this part, sixth graders. Copy the steps right now. Okay, don't worry about the other stuff that I have on there now. Just copy the steps. Make sure you write steps. These are steps in the order of operation. So step 1. Do all the operations inside parentheses first. Also it says, as a bullet point for the first step, follow the order of operations. That's what order of op stands for. Step 2, do all exponents or powers of numbers. That's step 2 in the order of operations. Simplify powers. That means simplify powers. So if there is a 5 squared, you do 5 squared before you go on to step 3. If there's a number to the 3rd power, you would need to find that answer before you go on to step 3. Step 3 is to do all multiplication and division in order from left to right. So whenever operation, if it's multiplication or division, you do the multiplication and division in order from left to right. So if there is multiplication, then division, then multiplication again, you do the process from left to right. Once you finish doing all the multiplication and division in the problem, then go on to step 4. Don't start adding and subtracting anything unless you're finished with all the multiplication and division. So once you complete a step, then you go on to the next step in the order of operations. The last step in the order is to do all addition and subtraction. And again, you go from left to right. Okay? Always work from left to right when you're doing a step. Do the steps from left to right. Once everyone has the steps copied, then put your pencil down so I know you're ready to dive deeper. Okay. We're going to dive deeper. Look what it says. Work all problems from left to right. Repeat that.
Work all problems from left to right.
And from top to bottom.
And from top to bottom.
So look at this. Look at this example. Okay? In this example, this is the problem we're starting with. 7 times 3 plus 2 squared minus 3. Now, instead of copying this right now, I want you to follow what we're doing in each step. First, you write the answer under the problem when you're simplifying. So, we need to start with parentheses. Are there any parentheses in the problem? Parentheses look like this. Are there any parentheses in the problem? Parentheses are which step? First step, right? So that's the first thing you have to look for. If there's no parentheses, you can go on to step 2. What is step 2, class? Class?
Do all exponents and powers.
Do all exponents and powers. So we have to look in the problem. Are there any exponents or powers?
Yes.
Yeah. 2 squared is a power. So we have to simplify that first. That's the first thing we need to do. Now, write down the answer right underneath the problem. So we simplified 2 squared. You write the answer to 2 squared right underneath 2 squared. Okay? This shows the answer. Kind of like when you were adding in 2nd grade, you would add numbers like 4 plus 3 and write the answer underneath it, right? That's the same thing you're doing without the line. So you write the answer underneath, and then it says bring down what's left. Bring down the rest of the problem. Whatever parts of the problem you haven't simplified yet, that's what you bring down next. So we did this. That means this is taken care of. This is done. We have to bring down everything else. We have to write minus 3. And we have to write down the plus sign in front of the 4. And we have to write 7 times 3. Again, on the next line, because now we're moving on to the next step. Are we done with step 2? Are there any more exponents or powers? Nope, that's it, right? So now we can go on to step 3. What is step 3, class?
Dual multiplication and division in order to
All right, a little faster.
dual multiplication and division in order.
Good. Multiplication and division. Is there multiplication and division on this line?
Yes.
Yes, there is. We have to simplify that next. So we have to do 7 times 3 and write the answer underneath it. This is called simplifying because we changed it from 2 numbers to 1 number. That's what simplifying is about. Taking all of these symbols and numbers, this expression, and simplifying it down to one answer. Okay? So we simplified 7 times 3 to 21. And then we have to do what, class? Read that.
Then bring down what's left.
Bring down what's left. So we have to bring down the plus sign. We have to bring down the 4. We have to bring down the minus sign and the 3. Now, what operations are left? Raise your hand if you know what operations are left. Nate?
21 plus 4 minus 3.
Yep, so it's all addition and subtraction. Which step is that? Jen? Step 4. Are we done with step 3? Is there any more multiplication or division? No. Once you've completed all the multiplication and division, then you can go on to subtraction and addition. Okay? So, again, we simplify it. 21 plus 4 is 25. Bring down the minus 3 and simplify it. 22. Circle the answer and you're done. Okay? Now I know what some of you are thinking. Look at all that writing. I could do this in my head. Well, if you did this in your head and you wrote 22, what's missing? The proof of the answer. Okay? Now, what would happen if there was a lawyer that walked into the courtroom and they're representing a client and they say, well, my client is innocent. Would the judge just say, oh, okay, not guilty?
Okay.
No, what would he say?
Not guilty.
Where's the proof? And if I just see an answer next to this without all of the numbers and showing that proof of the answer, I'm going to say, where's the proof? This is what you're being graded on when you do these questions. The proof of your answer. Okay? And most of the time from here through the end of your math careers, which is when you die basically, because you'll do the math the rest of your life, you're going to need to be able to prove your answer. So this is just as important. All these steps and bringing down everything is just as important as the answer, because it's the proof that you know what you're doing. It's the logical proof that this expression equals 22. So you have to show your work this way. Okay? Now, any questions so far? Let's go through the steps. First, in parentheses, then exponents, then multiply and divide, and then add and subtract. Say it this way: parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, add and subtract. Parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, and add and subtract. Yep. You have to finish a step before going on to another step. Any questions on order of operations? That's it.